It's on record for a whopping conservative total of 262 million. Governments winning the war against humanity. It's amazing. They admit that they're establishing a global corporate government to carry out genocide covertly. And then you find out they're putting stuff in our vaccines, our food, our water. They're engineering Trojan horse genetic traits into food that are causing organ failure and sterility. And you realize that a bunch of crazy psychos are in control.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
If a black death could be spread throughout the world, once in every generation, survivors could procreate freely without making the world too full. Bertrand Russell. Sick control freaks who hate humanity so much that they spend their every waking minute trying to think of ways to set up a global government so they can exterminate us and our families. My God. And their plan is so horrific, they think we're too weak-minded to face what they've admittedly been caught doing and to resist them. Are you pathetic scum that deserves to die? Are you going to prove them right? It's up to you. All right, folks, that is the trailer for the documentary New World Order Blueprint of Mad Men. Please get that trailer out to everyone. And then, of course, in the next few days when we post it for the general public, please get it out to everyone because, you know, all the time now I shoot videos, and then we're going to your calls, but I want to talk about this as an addendum to what we just played. I shoot videos constantly because there's new developments every day or two where weaponized Ebola, weaponized mousepox, weaponized bird flu, weaponized swine flu is being souped up to be airborne, souped up to be able to jump into humans, souped up to kill more than 9 out of 10 people it comes in contact with, horrible, painful deaths. And governments are publishing how to do it with the RNA sequence. In the case of viruses, the DNA in the case of bacteria, and advertising it, and then saying we're publishing this so we can develop cures for this. But all they're doing is making a specific strain. Another government or, quote, terrorist or private corporate group would just slightly tweak that yet again, and no vaccine would help. And then we have an elite saying in all their white papers they want to engineer a bioweapon to reduce population and then use that crisis to get even more control over society. And then I get up here and say, I think this is the big threat. And people say, no, you're being a fearmonger. The threat is hijackers that kill a few hundred people a year maximum, less than honeybees, less than champagne corks. I mean, you know that drill. I go over it all the time because it's true. I mean, I'm told give up my whole way of life because of terrorists and be all fearful, and the police question anybody, you know, shooting video of a bridge or a Capitol. Aaron Dykes, a couple of years ago, the video's online, was shooting footage of the Texas Capitol so that he would have a cutaway shot when they went in to cover hearings inside. And the state police ran over, started yelling at him, saying, what are you doing, filming? And he said, I'm with the media. And Aaron said politely, you know, I'm here with the media. And the cop said, give me your ID. And Aaron then said, no, I'm here with a tripod, the camera. I mean, again, like a terrorist would just go to Google Maps. A terrorist would just drive by and take a photo covertly. A guy out there in a polo shirt and jeans, you know, videotaping the Capitol from the park grounds. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's about teaching us we're bad and we've done something wrong. You know, did you pay cash for the coffee? This is all so broad to make it the public can't be trusted, only government can be trusted. And the big threat is government. I'm not saying they're going to release this flu. I'm saying they're making preparations for it and discussing how it would be helpful to reduce population. I just gave you a quote of Bertrand Russell talking about it. I mean, this is what they're into. And I see this as the big threat. They have in level 2 facilities all over the United States and Europe, and level 3 as well, stuff that's behind glass doors with swipe cards that should be in underground bunkers, with armed guards under level 4, with explosive fire bombs that blow up if the alarms go off. I mean, when a level 2 facility is holding level 4 type pathogens, it's just the ultimate threat. This makes nuclear weapons pale in significance because there's a lot less chance that Russia, the U.S., or China are going to have a nuclear war than some crazy eugenicist working at one of these labs is going to sneak this stuff out and spread it like 12 monkeys, especially when they're all a bunch of eugenicists on average. All right, I've already talked about this ad nauseum, but I'm worried for my family. I've moved out to the country because of this. I think this is a real threat. And if we educate people and warn folks, we may be able to avert this. But if we don't have a hope. If we try to avert this Iran war, it's a good chance we can stop that if we work hard. But the system wants it. So we're darned if we do, darned if we don't. If we do speak out and stop this, we're fearmongers, fearmongers that cried wolf. But if we don't and just go watch the football game, then it could happen. And so this is what I'm concerned about. This is what I'm worried about. And the globalists say they want to release bioweapons and are looking at it to reduce population in so many quotes it'll make your head spin. And they've been caught jacking the food and water with all sorts of stuff to soft kill us. And now they're proliferating this stuff everywhere and publishing how to produce it. And I'm concerned about this. Now, if you disagree and don't think it's a threat, fine. But those of us that are concerned need to have a debate about what we're about this. Okay, let's go back to your phone calls. Scott in California, welcome. We're discussing, of course, Ron Paul and where you see this whole election going. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, hey, thanks for taking my call. I just want to agree with what you said earlier about the delegates, and that's the thing that everybody's missing. In the caucus states, they're not bound to a specific candidate, and that's where Ron Paul is really cleaning up, and that's where his campaign's focused on. So now's not the time to be thinking about packing it in or giving up or thinking about third party. Now's the time to put the foot on the gas pedal and go all the way to convention, because those delegates can have a lot of political power there in the convention.
Exactly. Look, Ron Paul's trying to take over the Republican Party. Libertarian constitutionalists, Barry Goldwater type real conservatives are trying to take over the Republican Party. And we can do it. I mean, if a bunch of global corporations took it over, and in the past, whenever there's going to be a good candidate that they don't want, they use the delegate process to block them. They use the delegate process to make Ronald Reagan, who spoke out against the New World Order, the Trilateral Commission, the CFR in 1979, 1980. This was on record. They forced him to take George Herbert Walker Bush on, and then he basically became the shadow president, especially after Reagan got shot by the guy that had dinner the night before with the Bush family, on record. Look that up, Denver Post, Washington Post. You can't make up this type of weirdness. And so we need to get in there and force issues. Now, we're not saying we try to force Ron Paul on as the VP. That's already been discussed. But we need a big fracas there at the convention. And we need to continue to build steps towards taking over not just the Republican, but the Democratic parties. There's more than one way to skin a cat. And that's where we're coming from. Anything else?
Are you getting Dick Gregory back on the show anytime soon? Because I know that the interview you did a couple of years ago with him was really powerful. But I wonder if you could get him back on.
That's a good idea. Chris, put that down. Let's get Dick Gregory back on and get his view, of former confidant of course, Martin Luther King, famous civil rights activist, talking about the New World Order, all of it. We want to get Dick Gregory on the show. Thank you, guys. All right, let's jam in one more call. Scott in Idaho, another Scott. You're on the air. Welcome.
Hi, Alex. The football analogy is a good one. I don't even think we're at halftime yet, and but it may not be too early for a lot of us to go to YouTube and listen to the speech by Newt Rockne at halftime, the famous football speech. My understanding is that only 34 or 37% of the delegates will be apportioned out after Super Tuesday. So we're not even at the halfway point yet. I believe that it's a possibility that Ron Paul may lose the Republican nomination. I still have a great deal of faith and hope that the underdog can win, but he's winning the bigger battle, Alex, for the hearts and minds of the liberty-minded Americans that are waking up in exponential numbers. I believe in this instance that the message is far more important than the man. I also believe that Dr. Paul has brought forward to the American people an idea that cannot be stopped from spreading. Let's think of it like a liberty virus, and And that's how I see it. I've been to Ron Paul when he was here in an unannounced stop here in Idaho at the University of Idaho. He packed out the ballroom. There were more people outside that didn't get inside but were waiting for Dr. Paul when he left. And I think that's the kind of action.
No, listen. He's the real front runner. That's why he gets most of the military donations. That's why he was winning all the straw polls. They have stolen it. And I'm saying don't have your hopes dashed if they start stealing. And I agree, we are at halftime. And it is a battle of ideas. And we are winning by being on the field. And we're also exposing the fraud. We've got to engage these guys. I've seen the longevity products work. I don't want any shackles on my children either.
Don't want no shackles.
Yeah, I got the blues about Big Brother. I got the blues about tyranny. Yeah, I say down with Big Brother. Crank it up for a minute. It's Jimmy Vaughn fighting the New World Order.
Got the blues about my freedom. Got the blues about tyranny. I got the blues about my freedom. Got the blues about tyranny. I sat down with Big Brother and the national ID.
That's right.
Don't want a chip in my wallet, chip in my car. And if I want to travel, it's nobody's business how far. Don't want no shackles. Don't want no shackles on me.
In the land of the free, home of the brave, you don't want shackles on you, Jimmy?
Shame on Big Brother.
Shame on Big Sis. That's right. How about we trace you, government, shipping the guns into Mexico?
Chip in my mother, chip in my wife, a chip in my babies. Stay out of our life. Don't want no shackles.
You got that, you crooks, you bank-robbing New World Order, counterfeiting trash. Get out of our lives. Stop telling us how you're doing it for our own good. We got Foster Gamble and Kimberly Gamble who've got the new film out, Thrive, that we're carrying at Infowars.com, joining us at 8 after. And they'll be with us for the rest of the hour after that. But in the third hour, it'll be open phones and news again. But let's hurry through your calls right now in this segment and the next. Talking about Ron Paul. Look, I'm just being realistic. He wins by running. He has been the front runner. He may still be the real front runner, but I'm starting to see some numbers that show it may be going to Santorum and others with some states because people going, okay, well, he lost in these early states. Maybe I'll just go with who I think is a winner. There's going to be that self-fulfilling prophecy idea. But there is fraud. He has been the front runner. If you look at all the metrics. And I just don't want people getting bummed out if Ron Paul doesn't get the nomination. And it could still happen. But we're winning by injecting real issues, so keep supporting. Let's go ahead and talk to Keith in Indiana. You're on the air. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to say I'm going to be a delegate for Indiana at the Republican convention, and I've only been involved in this now for a few weeks since around here you have to head the file a few weeks ago. And apparently the argument from everybody within the party itself, separately from the primaries, is that they're telling everybody that Ron Paul is actually not a pure Republican. There's a lot of people, even in my area, who really like him, who are Democrats, and a lot of the Democrats want to switch over in states and vote for him. And the Republican Party is preaching this idea that he actually is like infecting the party with a disease from outside the party.
Oh, no, let's be clear. Let's be clear. Ron Paul and Alex Jones and all of us and you, Keith from Indiana, we're infecting the Democrats and Republicans with America, with the Bill of Rights, with common sense. No, they're absolutely right. They're these foreign bankers posing as patriots who've taken over the Republican and Democratic parties where there's no difference except in rhetoric. Ron Paul's bringing back what made America great. Read what he says versus the Founding Fathers. It's identical. And he's not really a Republican. He's an American, and the Republican Party was closer to his American beliefs. That's why he first ran for Congress that way, 25 years. It's on record for a whopping conservative total of 262 million. Government's winning the war against humanity. It's amazing. They admit that they're establishing a global corporate government to carry out genocide covertly. And then you find out their death could be spread throughout the world. Once in every generation, survivors could procreate freely without making the world too full. Bertrand Russell. Sick control freaks who hate humanity so much that they spend their every waking minute trying to think of ways to set up a global government so they can exterminate us and our families. My God. And their plan is so horrific, they think we're too weak-minded to face what they've admittedly been caught doing and to resist them. Are you pathetic scum that deserves to die? Are you going to prove them right? It's up to you. Putting stuff in our vaccines, our food, our water. They're engineering Trojan horse genetic traits into food that are causing organ failure and sterility. And you realize that a bunch of crazy psychos are in control.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
If a black... All right, folks, that is the trailer for the documentary New World Order Blueprint of Mad Men. Please get that trailer out to everyone. And then, of course, in the next few days when we post it for the general public, please get it out to everyone because